Good morning. Good morning, Manuela.
Hello.
Yeah, how are you? I'm very happy to welcome you.
Thank you
Um,
very much for having
yeah,
me.
you're welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, so this is Manuela Wilbold, the CMO of ClickDo, and we're here to have a sort of like a chat about a few things about her industry and, other things. So just to get insights, you know, and get some other sort of like depths, intelligence, and all that kind of thing. So I'm just gonna like dive right into it, Manuela. So thank you
Sure.
for coming once again. So we're kind of identifying maybe like emerging trends in your industry. So what would you say are the most significant technological or societal shifts that you're observing right now? And
hmm
what do you believe will is fundamentally altering the advertising landscape in the next 3 to 5 years?
Okay, big question.
It is a bit of a question, but yeah,
Okay, let me start by breaking it down a little bit, I guess,
sure,
because
sure.
marketing, advertising is a huge
Fun.
industry,
It
obviously.
is. Yeah.
At ClickDo, we focus on mostly social media and kind of, we are an SEO agency as well. So we focus on content that we optimize for search engines. And I would say, generally, obviously, the biggest disruptor is AI, no doubt about it. AI has been impacting, I think, everything in the marketing and advertising industry. Um, so I think, if we look at now and maybe possibly 3 to 5 years in the future, I would say definitely AI and VR, virtual reality, those kind of things will have a super big impact on how consumers consume in general, I think. At the moment, platforms like TikTok are really, really growing and gaining huge market potential for brands, for businesses. And the reason being is I think that storytelling, video content will just have so much of a bigger impact on marketing and advertising in the future. Well, it already is at the moment, but I think it will be even bigger in the future. And I think part of that development is, apart from AI, is also the fact that, for example, Meta is developing those glasses with Ray-Ban.
Sure.
And from what I can see, the technology, what it will enable us to do is we wear the glasses and in the corner of our eye, we'll see, something pop up and we can click on it by touching it in our visual field. And it will be a completely different experience in terms of engaging with content online compared to a smartphone. So at the moment, we're just interacting with our smartphone or maybe our computer to watch a video or to maybe watch an advert or look at some kind of I don't know, offer or special deal or whatever. But
Yeah.
I think in the future it will be so much more incorporated into the VR experience, into the virtual world. Um, and it's going to be quite challenging, I think, for a lot of businesses because
Going
you
to
they,
ask. Yeah, I was going to ask. Yeah, I was going to ask. I know that. How do you find that your kind of or your organization is maybe perhaps preparing for it? Are you looking at it with awe? Are you looking at it with something new and exciting? It's challenging. I know that it's
yeah,
it's a bit challenging to select to the traditional methods, really, isn't it? Or it's very different.
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely,
it's very
absolutely. I
different.
think the biggest challenge for us has been, creating sort of more video content compared to just written content. And we've invested a lot in, using more AI tools for that, training the staff to use them as well. And just kind of, I think another thing that's going to be really crucial is that every brand, every business will have to create those micro communities, basically. So, looking at the current social media platforms, for example, you have a different audience on each of them. So, whether your audience is on Facebook or on X or on LinkedIn or wherever, you will have to tailor your content to those micro audiences. And based on that, it requires so much more video content that is tailored to each of these micro audiences. So the content has to be so differentiated, and it will have to be so unique for each of those platforms to perform well. Obviously you can run ads and stuff, no question, but to grow a following, to have a community, that takes a lot more than just running ads. So I think a very big challenge, especially for small business owners, which are mostly our clients, it will be to create that kind of content, because that is not an easy task, and it takes a lot of time to come up with a content plan, depending on seasonal stuff, depending on all of those factors. So I think there will definitely be a lot of demand when it comes to that, and businesses will have to learn or find ways how to cater to that to reach the audience that they want to reach.
No, that's really, I mean, it's really good. It's a great sort of like flow of information. You're kind of like going through to my next questions and everything like that, so
I
that, I
hope
mean,
I
obviously,
answered. I hope I
no,
answered.
you've answered it brilliantly,
Okay,
excellently,
great.
so I know that there are opportunities, there are challenges that you've just
Yeah.
spoken about, you know. So what new opportunities specifically for perhaps your agency that you feel that are kind of will be arising from these disruptions? And maybe perhaps one of the biggest challenges, advertisers will face, not just you, but, advertisers will face in sort of like in navigating these particular challenges.
Okay, so I'll start off with the opportunities
Yeah.
in those developments. I think for us as a marketing agency, obviously there are a lot of opportunities that we can take advantage of. Obviously, the one that I just talked about, content creation, everywhere. So whether it's on social media, whether it's on websites, whether it's on I don't know, streaming channels, it's going to just be one
It's going
of
to
the,
explode.
yeah,
It is
it
exploding.
is.
Yeah.
I mean, you see, you're
Yeah.
doing a podcast, right? So
Yeah. It's exploding. Believe
it's,
me. Yeah.
content is just getting so big. And if we look at the industry as well, content creators, it's becoming such a career now as well,
Oh
to
yeah.
become a
Yeah.
content creator, to become an influencer. It's just, that's definitely where things are going. So for us as a marketing agency, we obviously can help businesses create this content, or we can also help them publish their content on other platforms that will kind of elevate their content that they're already putting out there. So that's definitely something we can do. But I think for us, the priority is to help businesses find their own voice, because that's so hard. It's so hard it, to kind of find your own brand voice within all the noise that's there, and
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
to kind of identify, okay, what do we stand for, what is it we want to give people, what do we offer. So I think we would also like to help businesses with that as well, and I think that's going to be a lot more important going forward, by because of all the stuff that's going on in the content world. um,
You're hitting the nails on the head all the time. You're really speaking specifically to the kind of the challenges that are being addressed. What
yeah,
I've noticed, especially in your industry, obviously you have they say that the personal is universal. So there's certain there's certain touch points that you come across. There's a customer journey. There are
yeah.
different things that you have to deal with. So I did a little bit of work in product, well, as a product manager for,
Hmm.
in a digital transformation and everything like that. So how do you differentiate? So I know that there's outreach. You've got to meet with you've got to reach out to people. You've got to reach out to people. You have to
Yeah,
scale,
yeah.
So one of the problems of AI is that it could come across as being very generic. It can
Yeah,
come across as being vanilla. It can come across as being inauthentic, not really
absolutely.
kind of. So, how do you kind of gauge all of that? How do you navigate? What do you think the future holds, or where are the challenges specific to your organization? What do you think?
Again, I think it comes down to tailoring the content extremely
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
Because, anybody can create a social media post with AI now.
yeah. But
So,
it,
you know,
but you
it's a
notice it
question.
straight away. You see
Oh
it
yeah,
straight away.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely. No.
yeah,
That
yeah,
that's why it's so vital to first of all identify your brand and your voice,
yeah,
and tailor, like, I have your persona on your platforms as well. So, if you have an X account, then obviously you won't have the same persona and brand voice there because it's a completely different audience
yeah.
compared to Instagram, right?
Of course, yeah. It's a different
So
vibe. It's a
it's
different
it's very
vibe. Yeah,
different.
yeah,
It's very different, and the content has to be different. So it's I think it really comes down to learning or understanding how to identify your brand voice and your identity, and how to turn that into, the how to incorporate that into the content that you're producing on each of those platforms, and how to also advertise that content, because it's not just about having the organic content out there, but also what are like our main priorities, what do we want to advertise, what do we want to focus on, um, and how that gives the brand obviously an ROI, because you don't want to waste a huge budget on advertisement if it's
yeah,
not going to give you the ROI you want. And to do that, nowadays you need to do so much data analysis, and that's extremely time consuming, but of course AI can help with that. But I think that's another thing that agencies like us can do for businesses. We can say, okay, look, we're going to run these campaigns for you. We'll give you a report, and we'll not just give you the report, but we'll give you a
the
breakdown of
analysis. Yeah, yeah,
what are we learning from that,
yeah,
and what
yeah,
what are we going to do next. What's the
yeah,
next step, or how can we improve what we're
yeah,
doing already.
yeah. So my understanding, I know that there's a lot of things that you do front office. You're dealing with people. You obviously you have to be personable.
Yeah,
Because whatever happens, there's a tendency for, when you're talking about data and everything, there's a tendency for it to be kind of like anonymous and
yes,
impersonal.
yes,
So you've got to have a really good kind of what doctors call a good bedside manner to be able to
yeah.
talk to people. Otherwise they're just not going to engage. They're just not going to
Absolutely,
engage. Yeah.
absolutely. No,
But
I
then,
mean, customer service is the key to
oh yeah,
every
definitely,
any success,
definitely,
in my view. I mean,
definitely. Yeah.
I've lived in the US, and the customer is king. There is no
Yeah,
question
yeah,
about that.
yeah.
Wherever you go,
Yeah,
you're treated like a king or a queen, and that in
yeah.
my view, that's why in America, businesses
That's
do
why
so well.
their product kind of management and their products, their presentation is a lot
Yeah,
it's so advanced. It's really advanced.
absolutely.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
really advanced
and
because of these particular, things. Yeah,
and in terms of outreach, as you were saying, I think, I mean, I'm not a big fan of like generic outreach. I don't
yeah,
believe in, emailing people randomly or messaging
yeah,
them
yeah,
randomly. I think obviously you have to build a connection first.
yeah,
Um, and that's really hard to do, especially for business owners who are super busy with
yeah.
just running a business, right?
Oh yeah,
It's really hard, and I think that's another place, on social media channels, for example, where you can connect with people.
yeah,
You engage with them, and that's why I believe social media is going to be a lot bigger in the
yeah,
future as well. So yeah, it's I think it's also obviously if you have something valuable to offer that gives people value, then they will find it and they will come to you. But
yeah,
then it's how you convert that, you know
yeah,
and that's where it really comes down to the customer service that you're offering. That's the crucial period.
yeah. customer service, obviously, on the front end, you've got to, you've got to be really kind of optimized, and you
Mm,
really not, need to know what you're doing in terms of the
yeah,
touch points, in terms of,
absolutely.
being personable. But then
Yes.
what I'm thinking about, right? What I'm thinking about is all the analytical stuff is all back office, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you have like particular tools that are making things a lot easier for you behind, so that you can shift that emphasis to the front end, I
Hmm.
think it's also a kind of like a good step,
Yeah,
So
yeah, no. I mean, I think every business will have to find ways how they communicate with their potential
yeah,
clients or
definitely.
customers. I mean, chatbots, I think, in my view, are a good solution if they are managed really well.
Yeah.
If you're actually really speaking to a person that can help you, it can really help. But if it's just like an automated chatbot, it's not going to keep
Yeah,
people engaged.
sometimes,
So,
yeah, it won't, yeah. So
yeah.
okay, let's talk about, so like, consumer behavior shifts, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how might evolving consumer expectations and behaviors drive the next kind of like big disruption? How do you see, in terms of advertising, you know, so what are the most significant changes? I know that you've spoken a lot about that, but what are the
Hmm.
most significant changes that you've noticed in your target audience, and how that has affected your ability to connect, effectively? You've spoken about, I don't know, the inauthenticity of AI and automation and
Yeah.
everything like that. So, like, how do you bridge that gap? Because it's got to be done, right? So it's a challenge. It's a work in progress. It's something that's evolving. How
Yeah.
how 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 do you wish to, because all your observations are very sharp, very smart. Obviously, you're in the business. You're at the coalface, what the British call. You're at the coalface. You're
Yeah.
seeing it there. But I
That's
do
right.
know that, yeah, but I do know that there's that. How do you cement that? How do you reach people, but then at the
Yeah.
same time still be authentic? How do you do that?
That is not easy. I agree. I mean,
Yeah.
I think going to addressing what you said about shifting behaviors, for
Yeah.
example. I've been in this in marketing now for like 8 years, and I have to
Oh wow.
say things are changing so quickly. It's
Yeah.
it's it's really scary
It's
sometimes.
dynamic. It's so dynamic.
Because
Yeah.
when I started, it was still kind of, AI wasn't really there yet, or
No, it
not
wasn't.
that visible, and
Yeah.
it was fast paced, but not as fast paced as it is now. So
Yeah.
now, literally within a month, your behavior of your audience can change rapidly, and you have to kind of think,
You have to
okay.
be agile. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You have to be so agile and so informed as well all the time about, what's changing, what's happening technology wise, AI
Yeah.
wise,
Yeah.
because it's just happening at such a fast pace.
Yeah.
And um, it's for a long time I was for example not sure whether we should be on TikTok or not, because I personally don't really like TikTok, but
Yeah.
I see I see why it's so big, and obviously why it's important in marketing. But again, those are questions that businesses will have to ask themselves. They will really have to ask themselves, do we need to be on every platform, or which
Which ones
platform
can
is
we
the most.
target? Yeah.
Exactly. And then, you think you have to really filter what you're going to do, what you're going to put your time into, your money into, because as I say, the behavior shifts so quickly, and trends, they come and
Yep.
go.
Yep. Yeah.
So, it's so important to, that's why again the identity, the voice is so important to establish, because that will inform where you want to be, where you want to be seen, where you want to um, yeah, exactly. So I think, I would, the advice I can give to businesses and brands is, don't get too kind of like distracted by, certain trends and stuff that don't really matter for you, but really try to focus on what matters for your brand and for your business and for your ROI, because that's what's going to give you the results. And I mean, other than that, I think. just kind of like staying authentic, staying true to yourself, and not trying to, if something's trending, not trying to follow that trend quickly and change everything
Yeah.
around, because people will only follow brands that that have something that they identify again and again. um, and there's nothing wrong. I mean, for example, the best example is, have you seen that the UK government has changed their logo recently?
No,
So they
we get too
invested
much politics, but yeah, let me know. Yeah, tell me about it. Yeah.
they invested almost 500 million to have their
Wow.
logo changed. And for me, it's like, what's the point of doing that? You are a government.
Yeah.
The branding of you as a government doesn't really impact how people perceive you, because you are the government, right?
Yeah.
And it's obviously also a big spend to just
Well, it's a lot of
change a
money just
dot.
for a dot. Yeah. but
And
but you,
that's the best example to say,
yeah.
okay, question what you're doing. Is it really impactful? What does it really do for you?
Yeah, but you know something, Manuel. I think that you're very right there in terms of sort of like the brand. But some politicians. I don't want to get into politics. I'm not interested in politics. I'm not interested in what they said or he said or whatever.
Yeah.
We're not here for that. But there's some politicians who can adapt well to things like TikTok.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And there's some
Absolutely.
politicians who don't look good on TikTok.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the ones that look good on TikTok, they get a lot of
Yeah.
traction from that. So I think
Absolutely.
it's become sort of like part of our lives, really. It's really become part of our
Absolutely.
lives.
No,
So
and again, that takes us back to why content creation is becoming
oh
so
yeah,
important,
it's
right?
important. It's
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
impactful. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna sort of like a slight deeper dive into the AI, because I know
Yeah.
that you've mentioned, I'm sorry, but that's what I do. I know that you mentioned that you do have some things in place, and obviously you do, because otherwise you're out there. So you're current, you're contemporary. So you're out there. So
Yeah.
beyond the general role of AI, what practical application do you find like most valuable now? And
Um,
where do you think in your particular industry, or maybe specific to you, that people are struggling to integrate AI, because of the challenges that you've mentioned? What kind
okay.
of practical things do you think?
Um, well, I think first of all, what's really challenging is that there are so many tools popping up every single day. And to identify, the tool that is right for your needs, that's already really challenging, I think. And it takes, research, it takes time to test them, stuff like that. So we now have a selection of tools that we use. And they work for us, but you always feel like, oh, are we missing something? Is there
Yeah,
something better? Is there something, so it's, yeah, it's not easy. I mean, I don't know if I can give any advice when it comes to that, but in my experience, I think, again, try to narrow down what you really need, and then how AI can help you with that, first of all, and then look for suitable tools or solutions if you want to invest in that. But again, it takes training, it takes
yeah, workshops and all that kind of
yeah,
thing. Yeah,
yeah,
I,
yeah.
I
So yeah, you have to
yeah,
be aware of that.
I know. The thing is that they say that what creates sort of like stress, or what adds to stress, is choice.
Yeah,
You see what I mean? So
absolutely.
like,
Absolutely.
if you go and you know that you have A, B, C to deal with, and like
Yeah.
take the option, well, you can make up a choice. But if you have A to Z it's like, oh, it's so
Yeah,
stressful. Yeah,
it
I,
is. I mean, that's
yeah,
why I guess CEOs like Mark Zuckerberg, they only wear the same outfit every single day, because they don't have,
they
not
don't
the same
care. Yeah,
outfit, but the same shirt, the same trousers, so
yeah,
they don't
yeah,
have to
yeah,
worry about what am I wearing today.
yeah. What I know that there are a lot of generic tools out there. There are a lot of generic
Yeah.
tools that everybody's falling over themselves to get into the AI thing, and people are popping up and bringing these kind of solutions, but where we're different, I would say, where we're different is that we would take a slightly deep dive into
Mhm.
particular pain points.
Yeah,
Okay, maybe some challenges that are there. I mean, challenges are universal. Every business has challenges. Even
of
even
course.
Meta, even Mark Zuckerberg,
Oh,
even Amazon, they have their challenges.
of course, of
So
course.
so all we would do is that we would just look at your pain. What we tend to find is that pain points are very universal. You
Hmm.
know, they're universal across all industries.
Yeah,
Whether
yeah,
it's operational efficacy or whatever, or I don't know, some people want outreach, some people want, different things. So,
yeah.
we, we have a lot of that. We have, let's say, for instance, we had another client who's asking for LinkedIn outreach. They're an
Okay, yeah,
event, so they want to know, wow, how can they sort of like outreach? And so, well, we've got certain solutions for that. We've got playbooks that, you can have a look at, it's up to you.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah, so data analytics, so, you talked about data and everything like that. I know some people like data, many people don't. I don't blame them. So
Yeah,
it's a kind of like, so in terms of, turning raw data into actionable insights, that actually drive and give you measurable results that you can
yeah,
see the ROI that we talked about,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
on your own campaigns. What are your kind of strategies around that, or how do you navigate all of that?
Um,
It's challenging.
it's challenging, and I will admit I'm also not a huge fan of data.
Yeah, yeah,
Because I think you can get so lost in data as well.
definitely.
But I think to a certain extent, obviously, it's helpful if you know how to read it, if you know how to interpret it, and how to use it.
Yeah,
But that is the challenge. So, I mean, I don't know about your AI solution, but from what I have seen so far, AI can help you obviously analyze specific, I don't know, specific data
yeah,
with a
yeah,
specific purpose, but
yeah,
the interpretation is kind of still down to you as an individual, from what
yeah,
I understand. I guess it can kind of pinpoint certain trends and things like that for you, but when it comes down to, for example, asking questions like, okay, how does this data help me run my next campaign for X or for whatever? I don't know how advanced AI is already with that, to be honest, but I generally think that it's you have to know exactly what you want from the data in
definitely.
order to get what you
Yeah.
what you need.
In order to, yeah, so you get the data, and from that data you get the insight, and that's
Yeah.
one particular insight. The second
Yes.
insight is what to do with it to
Yeah.
get to where you want to go.
Yes, exactly.
So
And
I mean that
so
we
you have to already know exactly what you need,
oh yeah, oh yeah, oh
before
yeah,
you even do the data
yeah,
analysis, because otherwise you're
yeah,
just going to get lost. So,
yeah,
but yeah, I mean, I'm sure AI can be really helpful with that and save a
yeah.
lot of time with that. You just have to know how to use it and to utilize it best.
Would Yeah, would
Yeah.
you if you would you so like if I made a suggestion, I'll just make
Hmm.
an open suggestion that if you had any particular these particular pain points that we're talking about, if we had another session maybe this time next week, we could look at that, and
Hmm.
then I know specifically, Manuela, from what you're saying, there's already a side of there's already a lot of alignment.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a lot of alignment, and then what we would do is perhaps we would have a look at it. I'll take it to my engineers and my team.